So, hello everyone. My name is Tsai. You can call me Sally. And then I'm like a research fellow from University of Cambridge. So, teaching skills and behaviors are crucial factors in explaining variance in student achievement. Effective teacher professional development programs could lead to greater effectiveness in teaching, and in turn translate into the improvement of student outcomes. So actually, in this short presentation, I'm going to be talking about how to improve teaching skills via a needs-based framework. And based on this title, actually about improving teaching skills via needs-based framework, I will continue to break down the presentation into three core areas. So first, I will concentrate on the introduction. Then I would like to talk about the dynamic model. This is the model which can help schools, teachers to give you a framework in order to improve teaching skills. And finally, I'm going to talk about some examples. How do you improve your teaching skills through this model? So let me go into a more detail about the introduction. So over the past decades, there has been a great focus on the importance of promoting quality of teaching and improving student outcomes. And then lots of studies of teaching effectiveness have indicated that student achievement is related to quality of teaching. So in this short presentation, I'm going to introduce the dynamic model, which could help schools establish groups of teaching skills. This is important since the dynamic model can provide us a framework of how teachers function and may broaden our view of what makes an effective teacher, with important implications for teacher training and professional development, which is related to the improvement of quality of teaching and student outcomes. So let's focus on an overview of the dynamic model. So the dynamic model is a theory-driven and evidence-based framework of the dynamic approach to school improvement. We call it DASI. And then the dynamic model is multi-level in nature and refers to 4 different levels, which are student, classroom, school, and system. But in this presentation, I will focus on the classroom level. So there are 8 teacher factors within the classroom level. They are orientation, structuring, questioning, teaching modeling, application, learning environment, management of time, classroom assessment. So these are 8 teacher teaching skills which can be improved in order to improve your teaching skills. And these 8 teacher factors are interrelated to each other. So now we are going to talk about each factors. So for orientation factors, this factor considers the importance of teaching behavior, not only concerning the introductions for specific tasks or lessons, but also challenging students to identify the reason why an activity takes place. In other words, we want students to know why teachers organize these tasks or organize these activities within the classroom. So it is anticipated that students will be motivated to participate in the activities by the orientation process, since these activities are made meaningful for them. Structuring factors concerns the reviewing of the purpose, the aims of the lessons or series of lessons, calling attention to main ideas, indicating like transitions between lesson parts, and reviewing key information at the end. In other words, how do you structure your lesson? You need to when you structure your lesson, maybe it's a series of lessons. So you need to know like what's the purpose for my first lesson and what's the purpose for my second lesson and maybe the third lesson. And then how do you like connect them? How do you like transitions between lessons parts? And then like during the lesson, you need to review key information like at the beginning and at the end to remind students what you're going to teach in this lesson. So the level of student learning is higher when information is organized with a degree of like, like repetition, especially in the form of like repeating and reviewing general like objectives and important ideas. Questioning factors is referred to inspiring students using various like kinds of questions. And then like, it's like you need to like implement it at an appropriate difficulty level and with appropriate like to like dealing with of like student responses. In other words, like different students, they have different like levels of their knowledge. So how do you ask student questions? And then like, how do you like handling, like how do you like react properly after like student like give their answer to you? So effective teachers tend to ask like lots of questions and include like students in classroom discussions. Then this factor is also like, it is also significant to note that questioning focuses on the importance of like, how do you clarify questions? And then also like, how do you, when you ask your questions, how do you like accounting for students' abilities? And then you also need to like provide sufficient time for students to answer. Teacher modeling is related to teaching higher like older thinking skills, particularly in problem solving. So for these factors, teachers might either like they demonstrate a clear like problem solving strategies, or they assist students in developing their own strategies to like effectively deal with like the situation they face. So additionally, effective teachers are expected to use like different teaching models, strategies to meet like students like unique needs. Application skills are associated with the expectations that teacher will offer students opportunities to practice and apply new knowledge. So this is like these factors highlight immediate practice of topics and skills taught during the lessons. So it's related to the practice, the homework you give to like students. So this kind of like tests are set at like either like a more complicated level than that of the lessons, or like this kind of tasks are used to like as a starting point for next step of like teaching and learning. And then the classroom as a learning like environment factor considers the teacher's contribution in constructing a learning environment. And these factors includes like 5 like elements, like teacher-student interaction, student-student interaction, students' treatment by the teacher, and then like also like the competition between students and classroom disorder. So these factors concentrate on the extent to which teachers are able to like encourage on-task behavior through promoting the interactions that will create a learning environment in the classroom for students. Manage of time factor refer to how much time is given to teaching in each lesson and how much time is covered with the time framework. So these factors is directly to learning environments as well. As I said before, like all of those like teacher factors, they are interrelated to each other. Like how do you deal with like disorders in the classroom? Because if there are like some like disorder happens in the classroom, maybe it will decrease like the time you spend on teaching. So like how do you like organize your own class and then to spend like the majority of time and to maximize student engagement rates? And the final one is like classroom assessment. So this factor is related to like applying appropriate like to collect information on student knowledge and skills, analyze information, like to comprehend student needs, and then assessing like teachers' own practice. So for classroom assessment, the dynamic model focuses on formative evaluation instead of like summative evaluation. So meaning like it's like the whole progress, not only the final evaluation. Also, these factors concern teacher skills related to each of the key stages of evaluation, including like planning, like developing tools, assessments, like administration, and the recording and reporting, like every like key stages of evaluation. Oh, sorry. So now I'm like going to like give some examples about like this model. So this is like project we did before in like some European countries. And this project called like promoting formative assessment from theory to policy and practice. So if you are interested in this like model, the dynamic model, and you want to know more about it, these like projects, they are all online, so you actually can download it. But now I just like kind of like present part of them. So usually we cooperate with schools, teachers, and then we evaluate like, we kind of like evaluate like, oh, teaching skills to group teachers into like different groups based on the 8 teacher factors I mentioned just like previously. And then after we like group teachers in different groups, we will like provide some like strategies, action plans based on their needs. For example here, So these like strategies is like how to like establish a positive learning like culture in the classroom. So so we will gather like the teachers in group A together, and then to work together like to discuss the way to establish a positive learning like culture in a classroom. So this is one of the strategy. Like if you want to like, there's like some way like you can develop in a growth mindset for your students. So there are like different like reasons like why you are succeed or why you are failed when you like doing something. And then so based on this, and then you can like kind of like give students this kind of form, like, oh, I feel confident in math because I'm smart or something. And then like to see like which kind of like reason they provided, and then to understand them, and then to kind of guide them like to, you know, like kind of guide them like how do they think. Understand your like students, and then like guide them like how do they think is like in the future, so they won't like just like sometimes they might just like blame themselves, oh, I'm not smart enough or something, but actually maybe there are other reasons. So that's all the tasks like all the tests that we will prepare like teachers in advance. And then also if you guys can see, can you see the Word documents here?
Yes.
Okay, so this is something like for like some action plans. So it's like very clear, like how do you, for example, if you want to like create a culture that can foster like formative assessment, then there is like a list of like action you can do. Like I acknowledge effort, process, interest, not just like correct answers. And then so there are some objectives here, and then like there are some like actions you can choose to do for each like objectives here. And then at the end, the research team and the teacher and schools will gather together to reflect like, oh, what did you do like during the lessons, and then what kind of like actions you think you can do next time.